We will start with some general questions maybe. And the first one would be a question from David Jerome. What would the ideal validation tool look like? What would the ideal validation study look like? What would convince you to use LLM-based screening in terms of both study design and level of sensitivity, specificity reported?
Yeah, good question. So, for example, when we decide if we want to use a certain study filter, for example, I talked about the RCT filters, and I said that these study filters are validated. That means that they were tested retrospectively and prospectively on a set of on a gold standard. And this gold standard should be representative for different topics, different sizes, different languages, so all kind of shapes and sizes and topics. And then I think it would be, and if you reach sensitivity above 95% in general, then I would say it's safe to say this large language model, this kind of approach is validated. I'm just thinking if something else there should be, and this should be this should be published, and it would be even better if some publications would redo this with different kind of samples. So this would be one requirement. Another requirement for me at IGWIC would be if, for example, another really well-known independent institution would endorse large language models. For example, the RCT classifier, that was also a long process of validation. And even then, people were not really sure if they could use them. And then Cochrane endorsed the RCT classifier. And I think something like that would also be really an important requirement. And I think for IGWIC, now that I'm thinking, for IGWIC, we would also redo some kind of these studies with our own gold standard.
Thank you. The next one, it's maybe a more basic question by Kam. I didn't understand what stopping rule means. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, the stopping rules is something that is used within the prioritization tools, the machine learning tools, because they work differently. So you have all the citations from your search, and then the prioritization tool ranks them. And you will see in the beginning, you will see the one that are most likely relevant, and at the end, there would be the ones that are most likely not relevant. So for research at the moment, the big question is, when can you stop screening? When it's safe to stop screening? And this is the stopping rule. In the beginning, there were stopping rules like you can stop after 50%. Of citations. Then there are some kind of numbers that show you if it's more likely relevant or not. And you would say, okay, at this number, we stop screening. And sometimes there's also another stopping rule that says, if we screen a certain number of citations and we don't see any relevant references, then we stop screening.
Thank you. Next question by Chrisia Tuand. What is your view on more purpose-specific tools for screening? AS Review combines AI screening with stopping rules. Do you know it, and would you advise to use it?
No, I don't know it. Of course, I know tools that include the whole process of doing a systematic review. And obviously, it would be great if something like that could be used and it would be AI would be implemented. But I don't know that. And of course, that would be great, but it should be all the different tasks a large language model would be applied should be validated.
Okay. Do you have experiences about the performance in screening regarding EPI Reviewer and Ryan?
Yes, as I stated, we did a publication where we compared EPI Reviewer to Ryan, and there's also some other studies available. And as I showed you, in this study, we did with our topics, with our research questions, EPI Reviewer performed better than Ryan. The other thing was that Ryan, people who used Ryan within the study made errors. They did not apply the prioritization tool or functionality and so on. But to be honest, that was 5 years ago. I don't know how, I think every reviewer I know of, they changed their machine learning approaches. So I think it's no longer valid what we did then.
Another question from Jan Stratil. The studies so far seem to primarily focus on clinical interventions, e.g., RCT-based reviews for drugs and medical devices. How reliable would you consider these screening tools for more complex questions, e.g., non-medical population interventions or non-RCT-based reviews?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's a very open field of research, I guess, and generalizability is quite limited.
Exactly. I have no idea.
Okay, I continue with the next one. Ghislaine D'Entremont, could the impressive specificity metrics of LLMs for study screening be a result of the relatively large prevalence of true negatives in the citation sets, i.e., most citations get screened out?
I'm not sure if I understand that correctly, but as I pointed out, we have 10, 12, 14 different studies, and some of them had lower specificity rates, I know, but I think as a broader picture, you could see that specificity numbers were really good. And all of these studies use different gold standards. So from different searches, from different systematic reviews, different combinations of citations. And I concluded that it might be this that this is something large language models are really good at. And I don't think it's because of these sets of citations that they had really clear, not relevant citations. I think there were, as I recall correctly, they were basic systematic reviews they used as a gold standard. So there was not something special about them. they were exactly like studies I would use for example, I did a non-RCT filter a few years back, and I used a set of systematic reviews to compare that to the filter. That's exactly what I would do. So I don't think this is it's a special sample or something like that. I think so. My thoughts on that are that large language models are really good at specificity.
Okay, brilliant. Another question from Sabine Helwig, and I think from the context it refers to the study by Tran 2024 you presented. Um, why is your reference JetGPT and not a scientific tool like SciSpace? I don't know if you can comment on that.
I can you say that again?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, why is your reference JetGPT and not a scientific tool like SciSpace? So it's a
Ah,
question
yeah.
why
Okay.
ChatGPT was chosen as reference
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
validation
Now I
study.
know.
Okay,
So
right.
there are the studies mostly used ChatGPT or the different large language models that are available right now. And mostly they are programmed in Python, some of them in R or different program languages. Everything, the whole process, the prompting, they programmed that in Python. They did not use a software. So if there would be a software available, then yeah, it would be great because we could use them very easily because we at IQWiG, as I said, we cannot program in Python. But the studies that are available right now, they don't use software tools. There was just one, but did not summarize them because it was a preprint.
Mhm. Another study, it's about laser AI. I think you mentioned in the beginning quickly that you at IQWiG, you use laser AI and you can customize some things. So the question by Beatrice Minder is, can you tell us something about the customization of your screening tool based on laser AI? What did the customization involve?
So we use laser AI and we have some customizations because at IQWiG we are picky. And so we have, for example, we really love to comment all the citations, all the studies that we include or exclude. So we have special functionalities like that. And what we also we have sometimes we have really big systematic reviews that we have to tackle, and then we have many researchers that work on that project at the same time. So this is also a customization. Um, it's called AI because they use machine learning approaches as well. But of course, it's in the tool. So our references are ranked, but we are not using a stopping rule at the moment. So nonetheless, we screen everything. And there are some other small things. For example, we have a library that orders all the full text, and full text is also in the screening tool. So you could screen and see the full text at the same time. And we have some functionalities that our library orders automatically all the full texts.
All right, thank you. Another very interesting one is, do any of the studies measure the time saved? Can you comment quick on this resource and time saving, cost saving aspect of screening tools?
Yes, I think a lot of them stated something like that. As I think in for Tran, I said that they commented on time savings, but my extraction or the information I was interested in at the moment is sensitivity and specificity. So I extracted only this number. Of course, on the specificity numbers, you could also really easily calculate what time savings there are. But before we can talk about time savings, we have to reach these thresholds of sensitivity
Okay.
permanently.
Question by Chris Johnston. Might it be possible to combine an RCT filter with an LLM search? Perhaps perhaps prompt the LLM to use the RCT filter as part of its search.
That's a very good question. When the RCT classifier came into the market, that was exactly the question that we were curious about. Do we use now the RCT filter combined with an RCT classifier and then combine that with a large language model? That is something we have to test in the future. I would also curious to see, but I think what you can see with that is that there are really interesting combinations in terms of combining searching and screening at the same time. And I think we will see that in the future. But we don't know that right now.
Thank you. Another one by Bekumusa Lukele. Are there any LLMs or AI agents particularly designed for screening and data extraction?
Yeah, as I said before, the studies that are available right now, they focus on specific tasks. And there's no tool available that right now that can do that at the moment. But I think in the future, and this is only the publication, the things that are published and tested. What I heard from people from industry, they said that they get contacted by companies, by software companies that have built these tools every week. So I think there's a lot of tools available right now, but there's no research about that. So for me or for IQWIC, it would not be interesting to see, because if there's no research about that, we would not use that at the moment.
Question by Espen. When assessing ML or LLM's role as a possible replacement for a human reviewer, would kappa scores be a more valid assessment than sensitivity and specificity, meaning comparing human-human to human-machine?
Yes, exactly. And I think, as I said before, I focused on sensitivity and specificity in my presentation, but a lot of these studies, I remember they also pointed out this topic as well. And Tran as well, they stated that they tested, retest validity.
Mhm. A question by Monica. Do you use any AI tools in IQWIC official HDA processes? And do you disclose it?
No, no. No, at the moment, we don't use ML approaches. That has several reasons. As I said, a few years back, we tested the machine learning screening tools because just to see if they would work with our topics. We decided not to use that at the moment and to wait, exactly like we would do with large language models at the moment. Um, but that has also to do with that the topics we are commissioned with usually don't have so many hits. So if you have to screen 1,000 or 2,000 references per project, of course, there will be time savings for us if you don't have to screen them by two persons independently. But at the moment, it would be not that much savings because it's only 1,000 or 2,000 references. And as I pointed out, we rarely have projects above 5,000 citations. Yes, but these large language models uh, have so good performance measures, even after just 1 or 2 years of time, that I really think that in the near future, that would be something we have to think about. And
Mhm.
the question behind is that, and we get asked that a lot, is because we not also we do systematic reviews that we do conduct, but we also assess dossiers, for example, by industry. And the question is, would we be okay with using AI or large language models in dossier assessments?
All right.
Right now, no.
I think we have time for two or three more questions in our last 5 minutes. And the next one comes from Satiskumar Yoti. Any suggestion in terms of best prompt engineering which give a high efficient result and also drawbacks you find in this prompt engineering?
I can't really say what if there was what kind of approach technique was more successful than others. They used different kind of prompting. As I said, I think most of them used zero shot combined with splitting the task in individual prompts. But some of them also use different or compared different large language models. So I think that is something that will be researched in the next months. What kind of prompt might be more successful, and we will see that very soon. But right now, as I said, it's explorative, and they also used they changed the way of inclusion and exclusion, so that will it's on its way.
Okay. A question from Juan Franco. What is the certainty of the evidence for the statement on moderate non-English speakers? This is quite stigmatizing, and we would be careful, or we should be careful. Um, Even the case could be made that non-native English screeners might be more careful when reading in a foreign language than native speakers. Could you please
Yes,
comment on that?
you're you're totally right. I'm not a native speaker myself, as you could hear, but I think that was a conclusion of one study that specifically researched this kind of topic. So I added that as a summary. But yes, I wanted to give um, I wanted to give a perspective. I think it's not it's not okay to just say large language models are really not there at the moment and you can't use them. I wanted to give you alternatives or options how to use them because we are in this setting right now of science and research, but I'm also teaching at universities. And if I ask students, they don't care, they use that. So I wanted to give you an option where these kind of large language models could be applied. And that was an idea.